What if you could know how your judge will likely rule on the motion you're drafting, and the cases that judge prefers to cite when deciding on that type of motion? Now you can, with Context, Court and Judge Analytics from LexisNexis Canada. Here is a practical use case scenario for Context. Jane is an insurance lawyer in Toronto preparing for a motion for summary judgment at the Ontario Superior Court of Justice, where she will be presenting in front of Judge Perel. Jane wants to determine how frequently Judge Perel grants or denies these types of motions, and what language he uses in making those decisions. She wants to be sure that her written submissions contain all the cases and arguments Judge Perel is already familiar with. She has only a few hours to do the research, build her strategy and case analysis. With the help of Context, Jane is able to tailor her arguments in ways that are likely to be ruled in her favor, giving her confidence in the motion she is about to argue. Searching for Judge Perel's name will direct her to an overview page which outlines the judge's credentials and experience. By clicking the Analytics tab, Jane can see how frequently her judge grants or denies specific motions along with the language he has used in deciding those motions. She focuses her attention on the motion for summary judgment. By selecting filters, she can narrow her search even further by keyword, practice area, or by adjusting the timeline. Because the motion Jane is preparing pertains to an insurance matter, she selects insurance law as a filter and applies it to narrow down the search specifically to that practice area. By clicking on the red bar, Jane can see the circumstances where Judge Perel has denied these motions. In this scenario, there are 11 cases where her judge has denied motions for summary judgment in insurance law matters. Very quickly, Jane can see the decision language that was used excerpted from each of the cases that determined whether the motion for summary judgment was granted and why. To better evaluate what are the chances of getting a favorable ruling on her motion, Jane is using Context to analyze how Judge Perel compares to other judges of the same court. She can quickly see that Judge Perel grants motions for summary judgment about 56% of the time. This is important because not all judges have the same trends when deciding on certain motion types. For example, Justice Akbrali grants motions for summary judgment only about 35% of the time, and Justice Myers does so 65% of the time. This is a 30% variability that Jane doesn't want to leave to chance when advising her client on the likelihood of success of a motion and whether to settle or proceed. The next step in Jane's analysis is to determine the types of cases Judge Perel frequently cites when deciding summary judgment motions. To do so, she is accessing the Citation Patterns tab. By applying the Motion Type, Motion for Summary Judgment filter, Jane can see that the Transamerica Life Insurance and Canada Life Assurance is the number one case that Judge Perel has cited when making decisions on this type of motion. She also has the option to see which judges Judge Perel frequently cites by accessing the Judges tab. Next, Jane will generate an easy-to-read spreadsheet report containing all of Judge Perel's motion outcomes that she can download, print, or email to a colleague or client for their review. After selecting Finish, a zip file will be created containing PDF and Excel versions of the report. The Excel files provides Jane with all of Judge Perel's decisions on motions for summary judgment, which enables her to analyze the specific cases, dates, outcomes, and decision language. There are numerous other ways in which this data can be manipulated further, for instance, showing only the denied summary judgment motions. In the past, when Jane was drafting written submissions using a precedent, she was only able to use one data point for the case law. With Context, she can review and include all of the case law Judge Perel will expect to see and has seen in the past on similar motions. If Jane doesn't know what judge she will be appearing before, she can also use Context to review and analyze court ruling data for the Ontario Superior Court of Justice. The overview page gives general information about the court, including a list of active judges and court's opinions by areas of practice. The Analytics tab shows the list of motion types and decisions on those motions. Filters can be used to narrow down the search results. Again, Jane is looking for data pertaining to insurance matters. She can even filter more specifically by the subtype of insurance she is dealing with, so she adds subrogated matters as a keyword filter. Even when Jane doesn't know the judge she will be appearing in front of, context can provide her with a valuable analysis of the court and gain an insight into how it will likely rule on her motion. Pinpoint, persuade, prevail, with context. Available now from LexisNexis Canada. lexisnexis.ca/context.